Live.
All right. We want to start by thanking everyone who's taken time out of their day to come join us for today's session on the future of e-commerce sales in the new path to purchase. Today's consumers expect instant answers, personalized recommendations, and frictionless buying experiences. As a result, brands are rethinking how they engage shoppers online and increasingly turning conversations into a competitive advantage. Michael and I are so excited today to have our special guest, Girish Joshi, who is the Director of E-commerce at LG Electronics. Girish leads digital commerce strategy at LG, where he helps shape the future of online customer experiences. He brings extensive experience in e-commerce, AI, and digital transformation, and has a passion for creating more personalized shopping journeys. Before LG, he held e-commerce leadership roles at Samsung, driving growth across multiple consumer product categories. Girish, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Lauren.
All right. Without further ado, we are going to jump on into this. So, we are here today to talk about the future of e commerce and that new path to purchase. So, Gurish, what is that new path and how would you define it?
Well, I'd start by talking about the present. And you talked about consumers expecting things that were frictionless and personalized. Um, and that's what websites were supposed to do, and they don't. And so I think to me, the future of e-commerce and the present of e-commerce is really removing that friction through conversations. I mean, indeed, like that's why the LLMs are so fantastic. They create new conversations, but it doesn't have to be AI. Conversational commerce, I think, is a massive, or it's a recently tapped opportunity in e-com.
So, when you say conversational commerce, um, do you consider that kind of anywhere? Like, for example, on social media, we have back and forth conversations happening. Would you call that conversational commerce?
I think so. I mean, so anytime you're having a conversation about about purchase, that it counts as conversational commerce. You have these basic stages of buying, right? So discovery, actually converting, and sort of post sales support, and all of those things have conversations in them. I think what most people realized a long time ago is that moving through that funnel isn't as sequential as people once hoped. It kind of happens simultaneously all the time. And so I encourage companies to focus really on that point of conversion. But yeah, it happens everywhere.
So, how have you implemented conversational commerce and what kind of results have you seen? What's your story?
I think the first thing to know is in our category, we first of all there are not a lot of competitors, and there's some very well known major channels where people go in and talk to salespeople about what they want to buy. It's always been conversational commerce. So to that end, to a degree, we've had a whole apparatus to train salespeople on how to talk about our products. Um, I think the first step is for us was taking that apparatus and trying to digitize it and showing like where those opportunities were.
Yeah. So, I came across some statistics that I wanted to share with the audience. Um, so, based on a couple different studies, the data on live chat is remarkably consistent. So they say adding real time human chat to a site lifts conversion rates by somewhere in the range of 20 to 45%, depending on the study. And it also increases average order value around 10% and makes visitors roughly 2.8 times more likely to purchase. So consumers who chat before buying tend to spend meaningfully more per order. So my question to you is, do you think consumers prefer a human or do you think they will prefer a virtual assistant when it comes to online shopping help?
My so first of all, my experience with those numbers are is actually drastically higher than that.
Yes.
So perhaps that's the average, but I think you can do much better. Um, I think that whatever the technology is, people there are going to be people who love technology and they love the promise of it, and sometimes it delivers on that promise. There's going to be a lot of people who, it's really not about the technology. It's kind of gets in the way of the experience of satisfying their desire. Um, I think that that when the technology is working super well, you don't notice it, but when you do, you're screaming and want to destroy it. And I think that that's actually, could the AI assistance work perfectly? Sure. I think for the most part, it creates a standard that customers are bound to be disappointed in.
And Michael, what about you? What do you think? Do consumers prefer virtual assistants or humans?
I mean, I always think that people buy from people they like and trust. And so when you're talking to a human versus when you're talking to a bot. I think many conversations can start with a bot, but when you get down to specs or certain different things that you need that human element to help you get over the finish line. So it's a combination of both. Do you want to bog your agents down all day long with some chats that are insignificant or customer service related? So there's things you can do on the front end to use AI and tools. But if you want to upsell and cross sell and give everyone a great experience, then you have to go with humans.
Yeah, I have a similar perspective and thought on this. I think, especially being in the customer service industry the last 20 years, I have seen all kinds of automation being rolled out, right? First, it was traditional IVRs, press one, press two, press three. Then it was chatbots. And a lot of times with these implementations, they can be either rolled out seamlessly, or they can be rolled out and leading customers to dead ends, frustration, press 25 different buttons, get transferred 25 different times, force customers to repeat each other. So I really do feel that consumers have a low level of trust when it comes to automation. And like their instant reaction is zero, zero, human, human.
Right,
Uh,
rightly so, Lauren. I mean, they're not. When we're sitting in the room, we can make everything seem like it's customer centric. Gosh, let's implement some technology to make things faster for the customer. Isn't that what they want? And there are two fallacies here. Number one, we can't read people's minds and we don't know, and there's lots of different kinds of people. But number two, and the really important one, is these have never actually been customer centric. They're cost saving technologies, they're labor saving technologies, and people see that. And
yeah,
if the company is going to take value, the company better give value. And if
yep,
that's not the mentality, you're going to annoy your customer. They may put up with it a little bit, but
yep.
they know they're being taken advantage of.
Yep. And so trust is just low. Um, Now, is the technology getting better? Yes. Like these LLMs, Gentic AI, it is getting much better. Um, However, kind of going back to Michael's
Yeah.
perspectives, people buy from those you like and trust, especially in a sales environment. I think AI sits really well alongside a live chat agent, right? To help them go through the 2000 product SKUs and model numbers and help them find the right product for the right customer, right? Cross sell, upsell, find exactly what products would fit perfectly for this customer's needs. So I think that's a very powerful combination. But Michael, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, where the AI tool really works is in the knowledge base, what you just talked about. I got 2,000 SKUs. I got to find something really fast. I have 7 different of the same type of product, which is the best for me. I mean, there's many different ways to use it. The human element of having that recommendation. So an AI recommendation makes the recommendation, is presented to the human, and the human sells it, right? That's the whole point of cross-selling and upselling and value and building a shopping cart. If you just want to focus on high-end conversion, low average order value, you can do that, but you're not going to monetize your marketing spend that you go into the marketplace. Right? You can drive a lot of clicks, you can drive a lot of small conversions, but you're also going to have a high abandon in the shopping cart abandon rate. So it's a balance of both. You need both, but in the end, you know, Would you spend $2,000 or $3,000 not talking to a human when you're trying to finish your living room and have the right products in there? The answer is probably no. If you try to make shortcuts and eliminate the human and the cost, it'll only wind up in the end costing you more. Average order value goes down, shopping cart abandonment goes up. So invest in people, process, tools, and technology, which sounds old, but that's what the best consumers are doing.
Yeah. And Grish, you have a really good story with that technology, agent assist, AI agent assist working alongside the live human. And it helps specifically during holiday time peak. I would love for you to share a little bit more about that journey and that story and the pilot that you ran, to kind of educate the audience a little bit.
I I'll get there in a second, Lauren. There's something I want to talk to you guys a bit about, like the transaction.
Yeah.
Um, the when we're talking, like we're talking right now, the listener and the speaker. There's like this anxiety of like, am I getting the information I need, and am I able to say what I need to say? Like that interaction, that turn, is part of conversation. It's also part of interacting alone on a website, and you need to minimize that anxiety.
Hmm.
Google really succeeded by focusing on latency. And what they did was they were able to very quickly get you a response, and they found that there was magic once it, a very, very non-linear kind of magic once it got fast enough. People have been talking about that with website performance. It's part of Google, and it's absolutely crucial in a conversation with the LLM. So the issue isn't like, does the technology does a lot of cool things, including giving you access to a knowledge base that might have been what created the confusion in the first place.
Hmm.
But it's about speed. You have to be able to talk to somebody really quickly, and they're reacting to you. If someone needs to say something, you can adjust. So that was basically the principal insight that made me want to lean towards having human interaction as like the first layer. But
Hmm.
there's a second insight, and the other insight is that um, if someone is the top, if I say something to you that is not correct, Lauren, you're going to say, Garish, I'm not sure I agree with you. And you will gently correct me. You respect my human dignity.
Yep.
But on the other hand, if an LLM says to you something that's not correct, you are like, what is wrong with you, machine? There is no quarter for the machine. There's a and to a large extent, uh, there's uncertainty in what people are talking about. The human is there to protect the frustration people have with machines that they're not going to have with people.
Mhm.
So that was the other reason. You could talk about protecting the brand, but you need to like protect the information transfer. And humans can do that. If you want me to talk about the some of the stuff that we've done, obviously I'm a big believer in conversational commerce. Once you turn on conversational commerce, as I said, it's about for a big part for us was piloting that apparatus that we had. After that, engaging with like a good BPO to get the humans involved, and then the very next challenge you run into is scaling, and particularly scaling during seasonal times. So depending upon how seasonal your business is, you're going to see in your seasonal spikes, like let's say your in season is a week, it's going to be maybe 6 to 8x in season versus not in season. Sometimes much higher, depending upon what season you're talking about, what your business is. How do you train people to deliver good quality? Uh, for humans, it was taking us a couple of months to onboard and train them, but then we didn't need all of those people for 85% of the time. So what
Mhm.
we found is that an LLM can make a person who is much less trained still very effective,
Mhm.
and so this was, of course, obvious cost savings, and so you have the basic benefit of conversational commerce, which improves conversion and improves AOV. That's just talking to a person. And now you can talk to more people because you can train people to have reasonable conversations very quickly with with an AI assisting them.
Yep. And do you
But
have, oh, go ahead, Michael, go ahead.
but all of this comes down to hiring the right person. Like if you can
100%.
have the right tools, the right technology, but if you don't hire the right person in that seat, let's call it, who has the innate ability to listen and sell, all the tools go out the window.
That's exactly right. When we were working on this program, we very quickly found that there was a kind of agent who really they were a pass through for the AI, and this agent could never succeed. You needed an agent that was using the AI to help them when they needed it, not just be like a front for the bot.
And I think that's one of the most difficult things to find today is to take someone who may have skills in selling but doesn't know the product, and now you're going to rely on an AI bot to help you get there faster and quicker. But once they realize that AI bot helps them get there faster, quicker to your conversational selling, it's a grand slam, because now they have the confidence, right? That ramped up efficiency that Rich talked about that may have taken 2 or 3 months. Now we can do that in a few weeks. And whether it's chat or voice, you can see the confidence the way it comes through with a rebuttal or a conversation and a recommendation. So you got to have both.
We're talking about the right stuff now. I mean, so
Yeah.
there's this selling skill that is principally human, but won't be entirely human forever. And then there's kind of this synthesis of knowledge that the AI can just do massively better than people. Both of those things need to be trained, and so we spend an enormous amount of time hiring the right people, who have the right aptitude. We spend an enormous amount of time training them every week, every day, reviewing exactly what they're saying. And we spend an enormous amount of time training their tool to use so that they can use it, so that the tool can be as useful as possible, and then how they use the tool. It's there's quite a lot of it's quite labor intensive. It scales beautifully. It scales in a way nothing else could, and it delivers a result nothing else could. But it is definitely not set it and forget it. It's definitely not like hire and there it goes. It requires quite a lot of attention.
Well, that comes down to coaching and training, because products are never the same. There's always new year, new models, different types of products, different types of different electronics, different type of TVs, different kinds of washers, different kind of dryers. It just changes and evolves. And from a consumer standpoint, this is what you're so spot on conversational selling. There's a lot of things that I do know, I do through research, but it's my research. I need someone to help me get over the finish line and say I'm doing the right thing, to making sure that I am getting the right product. Because there's a difference between a dryer in an apartment that doesn't have a vent versus one in a house. And I may not know the difference. I may not know the difference between a 4K TV, which I think I do. Do I really need it? Or the size and scope? And so I always believe that conversational selling, people that invest in that training, coaching, spend more time coaching, will get better, and your average order value goes up.
I like where you're going with this, Michael. So I think what you're describing is there's like an unknowability in the friction. The ones that you're pointing out are what the question is. Like, gosh, there's so many different questions and it's subtle. But the friction could be anything. It could be that all those questions are answered if you click on this other tab on the website, but no one sees it. And this kind of thing is easy to detect if like it's a person sitting next to you, and LLMs also have the capability of detecting it. But this is the other piece of magic of conversational commerce. It ends up being your best quality assurance channel, and it picks up things that tools will not. It is a constant source of actually interacting with your content and figuring out if it's working.
It's the human element. We talk a lot about, will AI replace the agent at some point? And I could see down the line somewhere, from an insurance standpoint, the actuary comes up what the price is going to be based on my zip code, the amount of years I driving, the amount of tickets, etc. It's a flat rate, whether you have a $250 deductible, a $500, or $1,000. There's no negotiations, and there's no upselling and cross-selling. Do I really need a human? But if I'm going to go get a washer, a dryer, a TV, and other certain products in my house in color and size and scope. Does it fit in the closet? Does it doesn't? I need someone to have that conversation with. So we can keep going back to that, right? Make
There,
sure
there are
that you have.
these, so there are these like kind of selling channels where there are agents, car salesmen,
Yeah.
some insurance agents, and there are conversations, and they're notoriously terrible. And so the standard is so low that we're like, well, listen, I would rather talk to an AI bot than talk to you because this is miserable. I don't really think so. So in that sense, I think that conversations are often measured by what they replace. And so if you have problems with your sales channels, and everybody does, often the conversation will just sort of be like valuable relative to that. Now if you have conversations and the conversations are terrible, so I mean I would argue, and I think everybody knows this is true, that sometimes there's a problem with the way that we are choosing to have the conversation, right? So if your conversation is not going to really try to help your customer, if your conversation is more about protecting yourself and seeing your self-interest, no technology is really going to fix that. So yes.
You're spot on. You could you could have a buyer not buy from someone in less than 10 seconds with a
Yeah.
bad conversation. But you can get someone to buy more within 2 minutes with a great conversation. And that goes back to hiring the right profile and then giving the right tools and technology to be successful. And so often, or more often than not, we don't take time out of the day for coaching. We don't help them with the new products that come on, the new promotions. And so the consumer may know more than the agent, and that could be catastrophic.
This
Like
is
they've
this is
done the
exactly right.
research.
And
So
so I feel like maybe you guys want me to talk about the technology, and there is great technology here, including the AI assist. That's not the only piece of great technology, but actually the first thing is you having a great BPO. And I'm not. I guess I use VXI. That's your company. I really like your company, and there's reasons why. So one reason is a really good hiring process is kind of geared towards sales. This is kind of some of the stuff you're talking about. But the main reason is the ability for us to like deeply interact and coach them as they're going. There's also technology underlying all of those processes, the hiring process and the way you guys train folks. Those things are also quite good, but really you have to have a way of making people good, and that's a big part of finding the right partners to work with. We can also talk more about the technology if you'd like. The AI is super strong. There's also some really great
yeah,
integrations with our website.
I just want to touch upon the point that you said, right? The AI and the people. I think where companies today are getting sold that the AI is so good they don't need the people. I would argue that you need great people with great AI
Yeah,
because
100%.
you can't take someone that's average and make them great just because you got great tools. Like you need both great tools, which is on the technology side, and great people. And what I've seen over the last probably 6 or 8 months is a lot of companies are buying great technology, but not investing in their people and then trying to understand why the technology is not working. It's
Yeah, this
because
has
you,
happened so many times over the
yeah,
past 20 years or so, where there's beautiful technologies and people think if we just implement it and go away, it's going to work. That does not work with mobile apps. That does not work with new marketplaces. That does not work with conversational commerce. It doesn't work with ERP systems. It doesn't work with websites. All these are they're all seeds that need to be like tended to. They do have like flywheel like momentum at some point, but it typically doesn't start out that way.
Great people, great technology, and the third leg of the stool is a great culture and, of course, sales process. You have to have a good sales culture. This is such a critical ingredient to successful sales programs. You need the ring the bell every time someone makes a sale. You need people standing up and high-fiving and having friendly competitions with each other.
This is 100% true.
Like those, music playing, like those are the things, the prizes that they can win, the trips, the cruises, the whatever. Like those are the things that excite people and make them excited to come to work and excited to beat their neighbor. So you have to have all of those ingredients, right?
And
To
deliver
make a
like
successful
energetic,
program.
emotional experiences to
Yes.
your customers.
Yeah.
This is true. That's absolutely right.
Yep.
The thing that you have to watch out for, and I always talk about this a lot, is you have a PowerPoint trainer who's never been on the floor, who's never done any of these upsells, cross sells, who's never taken off a rebuttal and things like that. And so it's really important when you're building these programs, especially with thousands of SKUs, to make sure that you have the trainers that can train that way, dedicated people who understand the product, who understand the technology. It's not mix and match. It's the same. And what I'm starting to see a lot in we use them ourselves are these AI simulators. That's where the AI really works. Is
Oh,
when
that's
you can
awesome.
help someone, you know, give them a simulator, give them a headset, and let them go back and forth. Think about how much time we're saving to get them to the floor, to sell faster, quicker, more efficient, to drive higher conversions, to fill the shopping cart more. And that's another area where that's where you should be investing in is your AI simulation tools because it, you're not going to have 7 days, 24/7 volume. There are down clicks. And so when they come out of training, that's great. But you may want to take an agent who's been on a program 5, 6 months. You have a couple of hours of downtime, throw them in a simulator. Have them do some simulations. They're only going to get better and faster. That's where the AI tools are working to help people. So I would always tell everybody, if you're out there looking, think about how AI can help your training program. Think how AI can help your sellers sell more, faster, quicker, more efficient. That's the area to invest in is the AI technology tools around training.
Michael, don't forget coaching, right? So the AI,
Coaching,
you can go in and you can say, what are my top sellers doing that my bottom performers aren't doing?
yeah,
Right? What are my bottom performers failing to do that they could be doing better at? And it serves up the exact conversations and it points out where the seller failed to do something, right? That they could have did. And then it can serve that micro learning module up to the seller so that they can get better. So it's
absolutely.
at the right time. So really the training and the coaching, they go hand in hand with each other.
And so
And
this is, when you talk to me about like the future of e-commerce, I gave you the answer that I think it's conversational commerce. And where we are in this conversation is we're talking about layers of AI changing the way that people sell and buy. Actually, that's what I think the future of e-commerce is. The kinds of conversations that we expect are going to be so much higher.
Mhm.
I think that right now, you sometimes may talk to a human and feel like, gosh, are you like human GPT? Because this, I do not like what I'm hearing. This is not, the depth is not here. And that's a great example of how our expectations are starting to really increase in how information's transferred. And it comes from layers of really of technology and just getting much, much deeper into like what you can convey and what people want to hear.
Yeah. And as we wrap up, I noticed that we're kind of getting to the bottom of the hour here, and I want to ask you one more question before we go to Q&A because I've seen some kind of questions come in here while we've been talking.
Sure.
So my final question for you, Grish, is what advice would you give e-commerce leaders considering conversational commerce for the first time?
Right. So stage one, find a way to pilot it so that you can demonstrate those cartoonishly large conversion and AOV improvements that I'm talking about. People, it's hard to believe until you see it yourself, and that's best done in a way that doesn't really scale with people, and just get it going using the tools that you have. Step two, find a way to scale it a little without any fancy technology. You do not need to depend upon AI at this point. And then lastly, the point that I've been hitting on is let your humans defend the technology and have the tech support the humans rather than replacing them. Um, I just see uh, a lot of very disappointing experiences that are tech first, and then they don't get good results, and it's abandoned.
Yeah.
The one thing I would add to that is when we all decide to buy a product or go shopping, now Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, traditional Google, I know that sounds odd, but it's traditional Google, the amount of ratings and reviews, the consumer has so much information in front of them. Like they know sometimes a lot. So we have to make sure that our agents are equipped to answer some of these questions that are out there to get the consumer to buy. And that's what conversational selling is. Like equip them with all the knowledge of what's going to be shooting at them, because it's so much easier today to do research than it's ever been before. And I can't tell you that the research is good, bad, or indifferent, but it's out there and it has people's opinions. And we look at reviews. And so now when I compare and save and decide if I'm going to spend $100 more on a product, I want to make sure that I'm getting, and it's worth me to spend an extra dollar, because maybe the warranty service, the way they install it, the little things that happen, the difference between, I can go anywhere and save $100, but if I'm going to spend $1,400 on a specific product, I could probably get it for 13 and I could probably get it for 15. But I want to make sure when I'm talking to that individual that they're answering all the questions that make sense. What happens if it breaks down? How's it going to be installed?
For
Is there
bringing up
a
the
warranty?
question that needs to be answered exactly. You
Yeah.
know that research that consumers have to do that's so hard, that's of the brand's making. It's because there's so much marketing that we put out there, and some of it is hard to believe, which is why we have to go to user generated content. It's why we
Yeah.
have to use long form video. It's why we have to trust ratings and reviews, because we feel like the other stuff is not trustable. This is a push and pull with the technology. The technology can generate more slop. It can generate more confusion and not really get at the heart of truth, which is what people need. On the other hand, it can help people digest it. We're in the middle of
Yeah.
that. I think we're all going to see where that ends up.
Yep, that would be my advice, would be start with your data, right? You need solid foundation of good data for both your humans and your bots. You need to make sure that both are giving out accurate answers. So if you have a knowledge base that's outdated, that rarely gets updated, like that's a good starting point for your conversational commerce, because you have to arm both bots and brains with good data to serve customers better.
Well, I'm going to challenge you a little bit, Lauren. So, look, of course, you have to have good data, and you do not want to tell lies. This
Mhm.
is not. On the other hand, there's some things that are actually kind of subtle, and this is what makes the conversation really good. I'm going to give you an example that
Mhm.
appears in my industry a lot. The We have power cords that ship with some of our products that are of a certain length.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes they're not long enough. So you could say, oh gosh, I need to think about how long the power cord is. Good question. Well, it turns out that in a lot of states, um, if a cord is over a certain length, it no longer meets fire code.
Oh.
And so therefore, obviously, a brand doesn't want to sell something that can burn someone's house down, so we don't. However, there is a very simple solution to this problem that almost every human being will choose, which is just get a longer power cord. Um, the details of this conversation are unmarketable. It's probably illegal for us to talk about everything that is related here, but this is just a very normal thing.
Mhm.
Is this a question of data? Like how long is the power cord? Or is this a question of understanding the subtleties of the puts and takes of the actual decision in front of a person? And to your point, uh, we have internal discussions about this all the time. What is the right thing to say here? What is the
Yeah.
legal thing to say here? What
Yeah.
is the thing that helps people the most?
Yep.
And uh, even if there's not an answer, there's not like this is definitively what you should do.
Mhm.
Just having access to that very nebulous thing that isn't necessarily true or false, but is what's right for one person is very powerful.
This
So
is
without going down a
data
rabbit hole,
360,
yeah,
right? You need to, that example is such a good one because depending on what state you live in, you're going to have a different length power cord. And to serve that up to the agents that they know, Lauren and Michael, they're in Florida, their power cord that they bought at their store is going to be X amount of length. The one over there in California, different. And you know what? There is an option to buy a longer one if they need it, if they want it. Like, but be able to customize and personalize the conversation by just knowing that subtle nuance. Like that is important. In when you're,
but
especially when you're personalizing those
I,
dialogues.
I know
That's
we're
right.
close to time, but this is where the co-pilot, the AI assist really works the best, right? It's a balance of taking interaction analytics, taking your last 1,000 conversations and see how many times this came up that, hey, the course too short. I didn't know that. Versus, hey, your co-pilot will remind the agent that in this state, it's 3 feet. You may want to have another product to go along with it. That's that balance of tools and technology that I was talking about earlier, that when you position it the right way to a consumer, they're so grateful and thank you that this came up that they're probably going to buy 2 more products from you over the next 2 months, right? It's
Yep.
that conversational selling that you talked about earlier, where you build value and build trust. And you know what? I'm going to go back to these guys because even though they're $100 more and I'm paying $1,400, those agents will make sure that I get everything I need in the order because of the last thing they did for me last time.
Mhm.
That's full circle 360 selling where you buy, and I said this earlier in the conversation, you will always buy from people you like and trust. You'll never buy from someone you don't like or trust. You just won't. Show me that person. I didn't like them, but I bought from them. No. You buy from people you like and trust. I know we're running out of time. I think, Lauren, there's 1 or 2 questions if we can
Yeah,
get.
questions keep kind of flooding in here, Michael. I'll let you take them.
The first one, how much does empathy matter in the buying process, and can AI truly replicate it?
Ooh,
It's
good
very
question.
philosophical. I, I think it matters a lot. And in fact, I think it's something. I was talking earlier about latency. An empathetic person is one who takes in information from the person that they're talking to and then adjusts and can do that very fast. Are you a person that wants to be spoken, has no patience? Are you talking to Garish? I have no patience. Or are you talking to someone who needs some more comfort? Um, I think that I believe that matters. I believe figuring it out quickly matters. My anecdotal experience seems to be AIs have a lot of great potential there. They probably do it better than I can.
I agree with you. I will share very quickly. My dog had a spinal injury, and I was going to ChatGPT back and forth asking questions about what medication. And this LLM gave me such empathy because here I am messaging it at 3 o'clock in the morning because my dog's in pain. And oh my God, Lauren, you must be so scared. Don't worry. Here's what you need to do. Like it was so empathetic to me. And I was like kind of laughing in my head, like, wow, like this thing shows more empathy than sometimes humans do. But at the end of the day, it's still a bot. It's like you'd rather have that empathy from a
Yeah.
human all day, every day.
All right. I'll end with a human brings a different touch to empathy, and you will recognize a bot with a standard question or a standard line to you versus the way the human brings it to you. The next one is, I think AI wins when it comes to product knowledge, but how much does persuasion matter in sales? I understand we're selling that a percentage can change the knowledge and ultimately overload or win or loss, but on the human side. So I'll say that I'll hit this one first is like upselling and cross-selling is that human part of it. Like if we shop on a certain website and we put it in the shopping cart, how many times do we buy when they show that screen? We'll give you this offer, the next one this offer, the next one this offer, and then we click go to the shopping cart. I think a human will always upsell and cross-sell more than any AI bot can tell you. I'll leave it to you guys.
I mean, that's true, Michael. But I mean, the premise of the question is that like shoppers are like very rational, and this premise is false. You know, first of all, there are all kinds of people have all different degrees of rationality, and that's the first thing that disproves that premise. And the second thing that disproves that premise is that the information is inherently incomplete. So you can't be rational. Therefore, all kinds of other elements come in, and goodness gracious, of course, persuasion matters. I mean, and information is part of persuasion.
Persuasion, but so does trust. You can't persuade anybody unless you've established trust and rapport. And that's one of those areas that we talked about in the very beginning of this conversation. Consumers have a hard time trusting AI. It's getting better. It's getting powerful, but you need that trust, whether it's with a bot or whether it's with a human. It has to be there.
We're on time, so that's it for me. But I want to thank everybody today who came out and listened. Thanks, Garish, for coming and joining us. And Lauren, thanks as always being a moderator. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you for joining.
Pleasure to be on. Thanks for everyone who joined online.
Awesome. Have a good rest of your day and good weekend, everyone.
Do we go in the comments and start answering questions now, or what?